Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Oh,
She's been very vocal and wanting lots of affection this morning.
mine too, but then he got food and he was not.
Yeah, she's fun. She likes to hover when I eat milk because she likes the milk, the coconut.
Yeah. What is food?
Wow, everyone's coming at like the same time.
Yeah. It's awesome.
How was your day going?
Good. Good. I'm trying to see. I thought Lori posted in the mentorship call and I'm not seeing it. Thank you, Deborah. And I ate and I didn't cook rice. I just had a salad. So we're on time. I have to deal with that. Let's see. So it looks like Kathy might be coming. Quinn might be coming. Lori, Kelsey. Yay. Hi, Pam. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Deborah. Thank you, Kelly. Hey, Pam, can you do me a favor? Can you check the mentorship call like event and see if you can see Lori's post? Okay. It like gave me a notification, but I can't see anything for some reason. So I don't know if it was just Facebook being weird. Oh, she can't make it. Okay. Thank you, Deborah. She's in transit. Okay. Thank you. I was wondering what was going on. I figured it was important, but this is what I get. No posts yet. When I click it, and I'm like, why?
That happens to me sometime on events where I'll get a notification that somebody's posted an event and then I go to the event and I don't see anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it only happens sometimes, so I don't know what the rhyme or reason is.
Yeah, and it's definitely not like she requested to post because Deborah can see it. Like, it's there, it's just not. Everybody, for a moment, we can just chat, see how everybody's doing. Megan's cat is showing her coconut milk. Kelly's got amazing lipstick on today. Oh, thank you, Kelly. So very special. Very privileged. Right, the day down. Yeah, what have you guys all been up to? Just chilling? Chilling?
Yes.
Yeah. Especially now that you have like your AC back and everything, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I caught up on all of my client work more or less. I need to do some email follow-ups now, which is my least favorite thing to do. So that's not what I'm going to spend my time on. I'm officially going to start putting together the Mint passage because Lori was talking to Anna about dreams, and then Lori had a dream about one of my stuffed animals that is Ted. It became Ted. Like I got that bear when I was little and now it's Ted, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so I feel like it just, anyway, it led to basically the Mint Passage invitations. I think forcing myself to do the branding and a sales page and just like embracing that challenge is what I've been doing lately, and it's fun and exciting, and the weather's cooled down, so I'm feeling so much better in general.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks. How about you?
Yeah.
What's up with you?
we closed the pool, and I'm sad. I look out, and there's just like a tarp on it, and it's sad. It's just sad.
End of a season.
Yeah. I mean, if I was in Oklahoma, I'd still be sitting by the pool. I might not be in it, but I'd still be sitting by it. I wouldn't. But yeah, it's end of the season here, so that is what it is. So I got new earrings.
I love them on you. You're looking so like radiant lately.
Thank you. Thank you. How's everybody else doing? What have you guys been up to? Nothing. Silence.
Everybody waiting for somebody to unmute or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, just been working.
You guys started this at-home distance learning, right? Just recently?
Yeah, on Wednesday. And
How's it
the
going?
distance learning platform is, like, my daughter has visual tracking issues and dyslexia and executive functioning issues. And the way that the site is set up is like not friendly to any of those things. So I was like, oh, I'll just move it all into Member Vault. So that's what I did yesterday. So there's at least a consistent format for her to find everything. And then I got just links to their stuff in their site, but hopefully this helps. So classes with teachers being available start the second week of October.
Okay.
But she can get started on some stuff now, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm so glad that she is 14 and not in primary school. Like I couldn't work and homeschool if.
No, I just read something about some parent. It was like one of those articles where they take pictures of like what the actual thread is, and then they like put it in with their own commentary. So I was just reading what the parent said, but they have like a young child, so maybe kindergarten, first grade, something like that. And they were going to be doing like learning, like the distance learning online stuff. And they ended up pulling their kid out of school just because, like, why? Like, they're a tiny child. Like, they don't need all of that. And so they were like, I think it was the same person, because then people were commenting about what they were doing. But they do 2 hours of like, or somebody was doing like 2 hours of whatever. And then they have like basically free reign of the day. Like they have to pick their activities that they're doing. So whether that's learning, a social activity, a physical activity, or something like that, like to just do something. But then like they have free time. So just to be a kid, like.
That's just it. Some kids, they thrive in the school environment, and then other kids don't, and this just adds to it, right? So
Even in college, some kids don't do well with like an online course. So, and you're an adult at that point, right? Like, and you
let alone a little kid, yeah,
let alone a little kid who's still like very much learning how to be in the world and stuff like that, right? So, yeah, I'm glad that seems to be going well so far, and you guys found a solution. So
yeah, and like I said, hopefully it helps, and it keeps me, because I'll have to keep it updated. Then I know what, like, it'll keep me accountable to keeping update with her too, right? So yeah.
I hope it's not too much work, at least for either of you.
We'll find out.
Yeah, well, you can do.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. So I'm trying to just, not. Yeah. There's part of me that feels like I should feel pressure about it, right? And then there's the other part that's like, it'll be what it is, and Yeah, so it's interesting. All the paradoxes that we're living in right now.
I know. It's a lot. Thank you for sharing. And, you know, I hope if we can do anything to help, like, let us know in the group and like.
Oh, for sure.
whatnot.
Yeah.
So I know
Yeah.
it's a lot right now
I
as
will
a parent. So
appreciate that. Thank you.
Megan, Deborah, did you guys want to share how you're doing?
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't sharing because I had checked it or I had let you know how I was doing before, so I didn't know if it was for
No,
me
it's
to.
okay.
Yeah, doing well. It's still like 10 here, so I just kind of am waking up. I had my morning practice and I'm having breakfast and tea, feeling nice and warm. And also I'm just noticing the new Facebook thing is also a little bit irritating to me. So if anyone has reframes or ways that they think it's awesome, please let me know so I can have like a better relationship with Facebook right now. It does. It's so frustrating. Every time I'm always like, I don't think you can go back to the old version, but I kept going back to the old version and telling them why. And then I tried doing that because there was another thing that wasn't working well. And then I was like, no. Now I just have to take extra time to do these tasks that didn't used to take that time, but that's okay.
Yeah. I think they're starting to roll out where like they're making you get onto the new thing. Yeah. Looks like they converted Deborah today permanently too. I think they gave me a warning a few days ago. She said, okay, so Deborah says there is a place to give feedback and take screenshots. But overall, like it's super buggy. Yeah. I don't like it either. I was able to go back in the group. Like they allowed me to like change the group back to the old format for 24 hours just to find whatever I needed to do. But I don't know if they'll continue letting me do that or not. But I couldn't get into the settings and I couldn't find the settings, like to change the color or the banner or anything. And I can find it on the phone, but I can't find it like on the web app. Who designed this?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. And it's just silly things like trying to share a post and then if you like press copy and paste because you want to share the whole thing, they like scrunch all the text together. So then you have to go and like press enter so it looks better. Just like little things that used to just be like, okay, this takes no time. And now something that used to take like be a 30-second task turns into a 5-minute task or something. So it's just weird. I wonder why they are updating it.
I'm sure that there's a reason. There's usually some sort of, even if like we think the reason is stupid, there's usually some sort of reason behind it.
Yeah, there must be. That's what I was wondering. I was like, if anyone has found something that's awesome about it, please let me know. That invitation extends if you discover something.
Okay. All of our homeworks will be try to find something that we like about the new Facebook.
Yeah.
I feel that though. Deborah said the dark theme is nice.
I haven't tried that one. I'll have to try that. I think I actually did try it. And I remembered it seemed like everything was hard for me to see, but I'll try it again.
I think Kyle likes it. I think his is correct. I don't remember correctly from when I peek around at his computer. I don't know. It's sleek in the dark theme. I say that it looks sleek. I don't know if I like it, but it's probably better for dark time too. If it's dark out, instead of having a bright contrast in front of you, having the
Yeah.
they didn't consult me.
Yeah, I'm sure they have a huge plan behind it and a lot of people working. I do hope that they're improving all of the little feedback things that they're finding, because I know I've been sending them a lot of feedback. Probably have sent them like 7 messages of feedback.
They're like, who's Megan again? No, I'm sure you're not the only one. I'm sure there's like I think I've sent a couple prior, like specifically with going live. There was like some weird things with like the way they moved the creator stuff over before like this permanent switch, and I was like, how am I doing this? Just like give me the live button and let it do its thing. And now I had to do it on my app on Zoom. So
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine there's lots of people giving feedback, because I'm not usually one to be like super vocal about my feedback. And so if I've done like 7 times, I know people who are more inclined to be more vocal than me are probably giving tons of feedback.
yeah, I'm sure. There's a lot of local people on Facebook. So you've got to be getting lots of feedback.
And there's a lot of people whose businesses are based off of Facebook. So I'm sure there's a lot of people who are in a similar boat of like, what? Why is this happening?
It's true.
Yeah.
I was like, was that me? And I was like, no.
No, I think that's me. I'm going to turn my notifications off. Okay. But yeah, otherwise I'm doing really well. Yeah. Just had well, the last several days were a little bit challenging. Just some like content got re-triggered in my life of just some deep wounding. I got this book, and it just kind of re-triggered some stuff. So it was interesting to navigate that with my business, like when I get lower mood, and then navigating being a manifester and still trying to like follow my inspiration, and just being like, well, I don't have any inspiration, so I'm not showing up. And I'm just gonna go take a bath and go outside. And so that's really helpful, because then it helps me to move through the process rather than forcing myself to show up when I don't feel inspired, because nothing happens when I don't feel inspired. And then like create the cycle of more frustration, because it's like, why isn't anything happening? And I'm like, oh yes, I don't feel inspired, so I just need to go chill out and nourish myself. So I did that, and it was actually quite lovely.
Yeah. It looks like Deborah has been feeling heavy the last few days too. Is that true for like everybody else? Kelly, the last few days been feeling heavy. Kelly's giving a little nod.
Yeah, that was Pam, I think, who said that, but astrologically,
I'm sorry.
I think it's Mars and Saturn right now that are like squaring up or something. So I also, I had a client call on Wednesday, and I the whole time was like trying to keep my eyes open, just so tired. And then yesterday I worked from bed the whole day, except for my call.
I did a little bit of that too yesterday. I was like, I think I actually rewatched the Reiki, and then was like, I'm just gonna do this really easy task in bed, because I don't want to sit up and do it.
Right? It was kind of fun working from bed, but my back is paying for it a little bit today.
So now I'm reading this correctly. I'm double checking my reading here. Deborah said that Libra season is going to be a slog, so I think that changeover happened recently. Did you want to say anything about that, Deborah? And Pam can talk to the
not
human
really.
design.
I mean, I'm using my computer mic because I'm really like
You're fine.
not here. It is what Kelly was saying about Mars and Saturn. A fellow astrologer was, well, Mercury and Mars were opposing yesterday, so that was really tense in terms of communication. I felt a little bit, and I saw some people being like, I got into arguments, and I think people I know that even me mistaken Libra for being chill. Libra will go for you if they feel justified and if they feel like things are unfair. So just a different type of fighting. So it's going to be a slog mainly because of Mars and Aries opposing the Sun, and then Saturn and Capricorn. I mean, Jupiter and Capricorn, and Pluto and Capricorn. So it's just like square and opposition. It's just not like usually Libra season is pretty chill, but like that's a lot of malefic activity. So she's going through it. Mercury's going through it too. But I mean, we're in the retrograde shadow on top of that. That started on Wednesday. So there's just a lot. And then, yeah, Mercury retrograde is not going to be fun either because of Mars ruling Scorpio when Mercury enters Scorpio. Like, Mars retrograde is kind of pissy. That's okay. I mean, I have that natally. But not in Aries, but in Leo. But yeah, it's just not. I just think there's just gonna be a lot of unpleasantness and stuff that will need to be addressed that maybe we haven't been addressing, especially when it turns to justice and fairness and like people's fair share. Like, I would definitely be examining all of that right now. I know that's been coming up for me a lot, but especially if you have cardinal placements, like I'm sure you're just used to this life of feeling like crap because of Saturn and Capricorn and Mars and Aries going retrograde. It's just been a slog, like probably all year, and then like with the eclipses we used to have in Cancer and Capricorn. Like if you have a rising sign, especially in a cardinal sign, you're probably just like, my life. What is my life? So I feel for you. I have Capricorn rising as well. So it's just, I don't know what to say. I think there are a lot of astrologers who are struggling to be positive about this. There's just not much to say except strap in and really be kind to yourself. But the Libra stuff that comes up, address it. If there's injustice or unfairness, and maybe you're the one who is, I don't know, the perpetrator, whether that's intentional or not, make it right. Because again, Libra is not going to be very happy about that, and she will let you know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of waiting for Sag season, which I don't even know why I'm saying that because the South Node is in Sagittarius. So there's all this old stuff coming up too that needs to be flushed down the cosmic toilet. So I don't know what season I can wait for, honestly. Aquarius season, maybe. Just like, I'm done with 2020. I don't really have anything positive to say. It's just like, there's always something. Like, at least when Saturn moves into Aquarius, we will get a little bit of a break. I think that's just been a really intense energy. So I think that is, if I remember, like in December. So that's something to look forward to, especially for people who are going through Saturn returns. That will be done. You'll be absolutely done. And you can like party and feel like a real astrological adult. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sorry. It's just this
It's
last
okay.
quarter is just, no, I'd just rather be honest. I cannot, like, you can just see this maybe as a time of renewal, but it's not going to be like daisies and roses, just lots of thorns. Sorry. Sometimes it's just the way the season goes, but yeah, 2020, just strap in, really be kind to yourself, be kind to others. That's all I can recommend right now.
I take it.
Yeah.
I take it. Pam, does human design kind of echo that?
Funny because just was it yesterday? I was like, oh, I should actually look because I haven't looked at the next set of like transits for this next season or whatever. I was like, oh, maybe I should do that. And so now you've mentioned it too, so more to respond to. But I know that we are emotionally defined right now, so that's everybody's got the wave happening.
Right. welcome to the wave. Well, and here's, I guess this is something you respond to, but also an invitation that if you wanted to talk about it in some posts or whatnot, that might be.
Thank you.
One day I write about Mars retrograde, but like I haven't had the energy to. And I tweeted about that. I was like, yeah, I want to write about Mars retrograde, but I'm too tired. I guess I wrote about it then, didn't I? So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like it's, I think, especially being Capricorn, sometimes I want to push through things. I think my South Node in Aries is also like, just push through. And this is just not the season for that. So I think just roll with the energy that is available.
Mhm.
That it involves rest and reflection. Take it, because I don't. But yeah. I mean, I want to. I really do, because I have like a reading that I want to publicize. But I'm also like, yeah. When you also Cancer placements, it's like if you're really not feeling it, it's not going to happen. So I'm just like, I have a Cancer, and I'm just like, yeah, okay. Well, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. I mean, Mars retrograde is going to be here for a while, so, and we won't clear the shadow until like the new year. So it's just going to be, we're going to be with Mars for a long time, Mars and Aries. And then it'll be all like, into Mars and Taurus, and then we'll be like, I want a nap, which probably we will deserve by that point. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear it from the human design standpoint too, because I'm still learning about that. So hopefully one of y'all can write about what's going on from the human design perspective, because I know a lot of people are hearing it from the astrological perspective, but
Yeah.
I'm going to hear it from that perspective too.
I think, yeah, the biggest thing with human design is 2027 is when we switch incarnation crosses. And it was predicted that we'd have multiple viruses and things like that to contend with that have to do with the mutation of the emotional solar plexus. So, yeah. So, from a human design perspective, we're in a huge transition for like the next 10 years here. So,
I mean, that's the same with astrology. Like, I guess there are these cycles with um, Jupiter and Saturn in terms of like the signs they're in. So I guess we've been doing Earth stuff for a while, and then now we're gonna go into air. So usually that involves like revolutionary stuff happening, which I think is already happening. So I think that's pretty cool to look forward to, but also that's still like, that is transition. So I'll have to like double check, like either it's like Saturn Pluto, it might be the Saturn Pluto, because eventually Pluto will go into Aquarius, not anytime soon, but yeah, we're definitely like going into a new paradigm astrologically as well. But of course, human design is connected to astrology, so
yeah, it's just a different layer of it, right? So, yeah,
yeah.
for example, like the last time that we transitioned, because each incarnation cross is 400 years ish, was when like the whole monarchy kind of system, feudal, not feudal system, but that hierarchy was dismantled. So like that's how big this is, right? So
So, with that being said, everybody feeling weighty. Who wants to go first and share your win shifts and support while Kelly works out the link, it looks like. Yeah.
I'm not going to work it out. Yeah, you can just go to the first one and look for her celestial weather reports, and they're long, and she goes into a lot of like the active gates, but I think it's really informative sometimes.
Actually did work for me, so thank
Good. Okay. So it looks like Meg and Pam, between the two of you, you get to duke it out. Who wants to go first? Megan, all right.
I can go first. Okay, wins. I haven't really been thinking a whole lot about. Let's see. I feel like there's been lots of small wins. I think the biggest win really is just creating a solid foundation. Like this whole, I mean, I'm still in my Saturn return, so the theme of my life for the last 3 years has been creating solid foundation and systems. And then I feel like since being in spellbinding cells, that's like now come into my business, like because it was almost like I jumped into it, but I didn't really know who I was serving, exactly how I was serving and what they needed. And so now I'm like going back and getting all of that in place. And I feel like last month I had just so much clarity come in where it was like I felt like I was trying to think a little bit too much about like who are my groundwork clients, who are my core clients, what are my crown clients, and like trying to intellectualize it. But then I just kind of let it go, and then I just had all of this clarity come in one day, and was like, oh, I feel like it's coming together, and I feel like it's making sense. And then with that, I felt like I was starting to put in some more systems, and I decided behind the scenes, I've been running my business as if it's a temple. And then I decided, because for so long, like my business was called Wild Moon Yoga and Healing, and I just didn't know exactly what I wanted my focus to be like. Is it about yoga? Is it about healing? Is it about priestessing? But then I just had a really clear understanding that it's like my business is a temple, and there are different tools and technologies that are tantric and yogic and from the priestess path that are all here to support this collective mission of supporting women to embody their divine feminine wisdom and power. And then it's all kind of like towards bringing that into all of the different aspects of their lives and helping them to empower themselves and to really live lives that are feeling aligned, that are creating impact, and in which they're feeling really purposeful. So having that clarity just felt like, I feel like there was something about like the business was no longer about me anymore. Like I even started changing the way I talked about it, and I don't really even say my business anymore. I just say Wild Moon or Wild Moon Temple, because it takes a bit of the pressure off of me that the success is about me, and it helps me to disentangle myself a little bit from, like, if things aren't going super well, that it's not triggering self-worth things, that it's like, this is something that's not me. I'm just here listening really deeply about this body of work that wants to move through me. And it's something that is part of me, but it's also not part of me at the same time. And so I think it almost just made it more official or something. Like it's just the business as an actual living thing has just become more stable in my mind. And I feel like I haven't quite seen what's rippling from that yet, but I feel like just even having that sturdiness in myself of how I conceptualize it and how it feels, I feel like is going to create some really beneficial ripples and waves. So I'm excited about that. I feel like that's probably the biggest win.
Sounds like a shift too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that was a win. I feel like wins and shifts are the same thing, but
they roll, like everything just kind of rolls together.
Yeah, and I'm also really excited about all of the programs that I've been developing in the last really 6 months, like, and the way that it's all kind of coming together with Wild Moon Temple. Like I can just see how they're all playing their piece and they're all doing something. And yeah, just even in the way that I am creating the programs, like I feel like that is also a win, because before, I feel like from talking to Kristen more about how to make things so people are like actually integrating and learning and moving through the program. Just even the ways that I've been designing the programs on my website and the program delivery, like I feel like that's a huge win too, because yeah, I've received some feedback from different women who are in the programs about how it was really easy for them to move through the program. And I was like, yes, because so that was a huge win, because before it was almost like women would just kind of get stuck and then they would stay stuck and then they just wouldn't complete the programs. And then I wouldn't know why. And so now that still happens a little bit just because some people just have their own timing and that's totally fine. But it seems like people are moving through the program now, which is the goal. The goal is for them to experience transformation. So I'm just seeing how the structure and the delivery is something I never would have really thought about before, but how just all of the hours that I've been pouring into developing it is so worth it, because it's actually creating transformation for people. So I think that's a really big win as well.
That's so exciting. And it's so rewarding too. So that's so good.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely rewarding. Yeah, I'd say another win is just, I know before I was like, I don't know how to recognize when I'm in a sales call or how to navigate or how to carry that along. So just a little update on that. That's been shifting. And like even with my one-on-one mentorship client, like just even going through that whole process of kind of like having a mid-review and then being like, oh, we have this many sessions left, what do you want to focus on? And it just kind of all navigated in a way where I didn't even have to ask her, what do you want to do next? She just emailed me and was like, oh, I see that my contract's ending and I wanted to explore options. And so that was really nice, just to see how I used to like almost get afraid to say anything because I was afraid of scaring people away, but just how I can let systems and structures work for me and that I don't have to do all of the work. So that was really cool. And so now we're still in conversation about what next looks like. So I feel like a big shift is just feeling more comfortable and competent navigating, sales conversations. I put that in quote marks because they don't necessarily feel like formal sales conversations, but just feeling more comfortable, basically telling people what I think is the best thing for them, coming from a place of, this is what I actually genuinely think is going to serve them. Because I used to not do that because I was afraid that if it had to do with me and purchasing from me, that somehow it was no longer like a pure, somehow it was like tainted or I was pushy or manipulative. But now it feels like it's not coming from that. And I feel like I can see the difference of, this is actually genuinely what I feel would be the next best step for them in completing their goal. And if it happens to be a service that I have, then that's okay too. So just, yeah, that experience has shifted, and I'm really happy that has shifted.
Yeah. From the way you're talking, it sounds like it was like a huge weight that was lifted.
Yeah, definitely. It's still not easy. Like I still get a little bit nervous, or I'm still working through things, but it's definitely shifted a lot, which was really, really, really good. So I'm like, if I'm going to be self-employed, then I need to be able to talk about my services if I want to be self-employed.
Yes. Yes. Let's all here. Let's all give Megan the little claps. Yay! Oh, yeah, party. I like that better. Thank you, Pam. Party.
Yeah, so I think that those are the main shifts. There's probably more. I feel like there's a shift every day that happens, but those seem to be the biggest ones that I can think of right now.
Thank you for sharing those. Is there an area that you'd want support in then?
Yeah, so right now I'm in the middle of Wealthy Goddess launch, and I particularly am going to do something new as part of this launch, and I'm going to be offering a live, like through Zoom, sisterhood mentorship call. And Kristen was saying that in that call, she wants me to be really clear in the invitation what it's helping them to solve, what it's helping them to do. And I just haven't really sat down and actually thought about it, planned it. It's just kind of been on the back burner because I've been focused on other things. So I just would really like some support in getting more clear about how, what I should focus on in that mentorship call, and then maybe how to communicate that to my audience so that they want to show up for it, because I'd really like them to show up live for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so can you remind us, is this a call that's part of the launch, or is it a bonus that they get when they sign up?
This is part of the launch.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's part of the process. I was just feeling that in part of the launch, like I was feeling like my community needs to be able to connect with me more intimately. Like they need to talk to me and like actually be one-on-one with me, because there's so many people who express interest in my services that don't sign up for them. And they're like, I need them and I want them. And then they don't sign up. And I feel like there's just this level of trust that they're just not seeing completely how it's worth the value. So I'm thinking that having some more one-on-one connection through call and video will be maybe will create a difference in that. So create more trust.
Yeah, I like that. So let's see, has anybody done something like this before in our group here that can share a little experience? No? Okay. Kelly, have you done like a live group call-ish thing as part of a launch before?
You mean like as a consultation, or what was the intention of the live group call? Like
That's kind of what we're working on.
Got it. Kind of. I did the feng shui challenge, like my 5-day shift, and that turned into, I guess it wasn't part of the launch. It eventually turned into the abundance thing, but I was trying to do all these things as part of a larger launch for the Mint Passage. I think Lori would be a good person. She's unfortunately not here, but she did try to just do her self-shipped September, where she was going to do the first free group live, and then the rest of the months were going to be workshops, paid workshops. And she said she struggled to get people live. She felt like it was like herding cats. So I don't know if that's a general theme, that it's just right now difficult to catch people live because there's so much happening. But I would be curious to know if anybody else has done anything. I'm so afraid of like groups and live things. That's what I'm trying to do right now, is embrace the live group.
So I think, no, that's okay. No, I think it highlights an important part of like what Kristen was then communicating to Megan, of like communicating the value, like, and being very clear on what they're getting when they show up. So strategically, I would think about then like, what do they need before they come in to the program? What kind of like gets them the biggest bang for their buck in a way, like what shift or skill or whatever that you are providing them with gets them like the biggest win, so that they can see it, feel it, and they know that the program itself will also do that for them. And that's with a little taste. Kelly's got a hand.
Yeah, for example, you don't have to use this, but if you did do a live call as part of your launch or free or something, like that's a huge value, excuse me, pizza, in and of itself, that they get access to you without even paying for your time. You know, like you're offering a free however much of your time to connect with people, and that's a huge service, I think, because the whole point of like the tiers is to eventually get like one-to-one VIP stuff. So you're giving like the most expensive value, you know, your one-on-one time for free, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting kind of like framing it a little bit as part of that, just like this is, you know, like including that in how I talk about it?
Definitely. I would like boast in the, you know, most playful, fun way possible, but it's like a lot of my friends or clients or people will tell me that they like working with me because they like my energy, they like my voice, they want to see my face, they like connecting with me, and so that's the whole point of wanting to work with you, and you're just giving it to them because it's out of the goodness and kindness of your heart. And you know, then you can see if the connection works and if the program is right for both of you. You know, you get a feel into alignment before they even make the investment, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I like what Pam said about picking one of the objections to shift too. So is there an objection that people typically have to working with you or to this program or programs like it that you've done? And can you take something from the program and apply it to that shift?
Yeah, the biggest objection generally is I don't have the money.
It's
That's
the easiest one.
generally the objection. And if it's not the money, it's I don't have enough time or energy. And all of those things are completely the same in my mind. Money, time,
Resources
are all the same thing. So it's the same objection. It's the same root of the feelings of lack, or, you know, not having enough or not being supported. And so, yeah, I just did Priestess Your Money, which was like, I gave them one of the tools because basically I'll be giving them 7 different money medicine rituals in Wealthy Goddess. And so I gave them one of the rituals and we did a challenge which was really great because they started actually doing journaling exercises of looking at what their beliefs are about money and starting to shift that relationship. So I've had them starting to go through that process already. And so a thought that I had was like to then go through it because they've already started to experience shifts and to understand some of the importance. And I can see how some of them are making connections, and I can see how that some of them are also not quite understanding the relevance and the depth of what it means to actually heal your relationship with money and to keep going, that it's not just something that you do journaling exercises for 5 days and then it's like, okay, now the money's going to come in, right? So like bridging that gap a little bit more, making it a little bit of a, yeah, exactly, Pam, a stronger connection of, so then I was thinking maybe in the mentorship call going a little bit deeper of, I'm not sure how I want to frame it, but something about like, they're going to, by the end of the mentorship call, have a bit more of a clear understanding of what they need to focus on right now to either heal their relationship with money or call in more abundance or things like that. So basically helping them to get clearer about what's going on, because there's just so many different things that can be part of somebody's money story or their abundance story or their scarcity story. And so basically I was thinking in the mentorship call, like trying to help them to get clear about what's going on, because there's going to be so many layers, but like what's the most important one to focus on right now? And then maybe giving them an action step to move forward with that they can take into their lives. And so I was thinking of maybe something like that in the call.
Yeah, Zebra's got a thumbs up. Pam said, and your program is one of the solutions.
It
Kelly
sounds
said,
like laser coaching, basically. I mean, And I almost, even though this is my job to like frame things and label things, but I guess I'm loath to use, I hate buzzwords, but it is like you're basically giving a free coaching call, which is valuable. I mean, to get to the root of stuff, that also takes time, but at least the if you do the you can call it whatever, but like laser coaching, like you hone in on like the root issue, and at least even like diagnosing, that is valuable. It might not be curing, but at least if you're like what you were saying, like, hey, this is where you're at and here's another step that you can take forward, that's supremely valuable, because I think there's just so many messages about money, especially right now with how the pandemic has impacted economies. Like, there are people like probably super spiraling out. So, I mean, I guess the only thought that came to mind whenever I choose anyone to help me is that as a Capricorn, I've kind of like run out of solutions myself, and or I don't have the energy to do it myself. Like I'm not supposed to do everything myself anyway, but like I guess making that connection between the pain point and like how you're alleviating stress or confusion, or I guess it just depends on also what your audience is struggling with too. But like, I don't know. I'm sorry. This seems super basic. So if I'm just being repetitive, I'm sorry. But like where they want to be and how you can be that bridge. And I guess that's what like is being said. Like the bridge is there, but it is. I think it's important to make it clear that it is a journey that isn't like you can't just wave a magic wand, because you're basically on the 7th month journey. Like you're going to be transforming like the alchemical healing stuff we were talking about. Like that is intense. So like that's not for everyone. Some people just want like, you know, little pat on the back or comfort, that's fine. But like who you're calling in, like they want the transformation, so they have to want it enough that they're willing to put the time and effort and the money into it. So I'm just trying to think of, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure you're calling those people in anyway, but there's a, yeah, I don't know. There's just always this like precipice or pressure point where it's just like I can't do this anymore by myself, or like what I'm doing is not working. I need Megan's program and journey and guidance to support me through this. But it's, I mean, what you're doing, this program, I feel like it's not it's not a walk in the park. So I think just as you're making clear like what you are for, like I think it's also important to be like, it's not, we're not just gonna like sit here and like hang out. Like I'm gonna get in your shit. Oh, you don't have to say it like that, but like I'm gonna like, these goddesses are not, you know, it's not a casual relationship. Like this is heavy. And good heavy, but that's what you want. If you want to be here, this is what it's gonna take for you to get here. But again, not everyone's going to want that. So I think some of this is weeding out through the people who aren't serious. But yeah, like if it's the right time for them, the money will come, the energy will come, the time will come, and trusting in that, because yeah, that's lots of babbling words, but hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, thank you, Deborah. That does make sense. Yeah, it is very much like a laser coaching group session. And I hear you. I've always kind of revolted at those words a little bit, but it is a really tangible way of helping people to understand what's going on. So I would say it's for sure a laser coaching, because it's seeming like I'm kind of wanting to help them understand, because I'm at this interesting place with a lot of the people in my community where I feel like there's a lot of them who are really interested in doing this work, but there's a lot of them who aren't willing. Like what you're talking about is they have to want to be willing to do the work. Like it just doesn't feel like they're willing or quite ready to actually do the depth of work that's there. So part of me is wondering, am I calling in the right people into my community? And one thing that I'm also wondering about is because I'm not specifically, like I've noticed there's a difference between somebody who's self-employed and has a business. I think Kelly mentioned this versus the employee perspective. And I'm not necessarily directing my services to business owners or people who are self-employed. And I feel like those are the people who are generally a lot more of risk takers in terms of being willing to invest in themselves. And I'm finding that there are a lot of people in my community who are employed, and that a lot of the people who are employed, they don't have that same like, I guess, risk tolerance for investing, or maybe the why, like, why is it important that I would do this? And so I'm kind of wondering, a curiosity I've been having in my mind is like, I don't know if part of the problem is, do I need to be directing my services to business owners? I'm seeing two nods. Because I've been kind of resistant to doing that. Like, I haven't directed my services towards business owners. Because I wanted it to be more open than that. I wanted it to be able to support also women, because I feel like part of it is supporting women in who like are also in career situations that they don't love, and maybe they don't want to be self-employed, but they want support moving into another career. Maybe they want support moving out of an abusive relationship into a loving relationship. So I haven't directed it to business owners because I want it to be just about like supporting people to be better, like aligned with a life that truly supports them. And so I'm wondering, is that too broad? Do I need to be working more with business owners? I see Kelly has her
No.
hand.
Absolutely. What I was going to say, and then Kelly can go, is that there's something I've learned in the business that I need to also continue to create space for. Like, so someone might not be ready for this. Is there something that they can go to as they prepare to get ready for that? So, because there's still interest, it's almost like you don't want to lose that energy or momentum. Be like, nope, sorry, this is the only way you can go with me. Get lost. I could be like that. I'm like, well, that's too bad. But there could be, I mean, I also see just from what you were saying, like this is how you're segmenting your audience. So there are ways that you can speak to the business, like the employee, like all that stuff you were saying was great. Like that is stuff that I think are pain points that it can still feel like you're investing in yourself and it doesn't feel as risky, but you're still meeting them where they're at, versus business owners who are like, I have this vision, I want to do this with my business, I want to reach these people. There's stuff holding me back that I can't see, or like there's money story stuff, and like they need, I guess, that more bold action and are willing to invest in themselves to do that, even if they have to like get a business loan or whatever. Like that's just how they are. But I guess you've already like basically segmented your audience, which is good. I think that you should do that, like all that stuff. It sounds like you know your audience, and I think it's okay to split off and like be more specificity with writing, with audience, with content, with everything will be your savior, because then you'll be able to do that. But then who knows, like those people who work with you as their employees, you might like find that courage to be like, hey, I want to be a business owner, and then they'll be ready for Wealthy Guys or whatever else you're offering for business owners. So I mean, anyway, I'm just not that I'm a reflector. I don't even play one on TV. But just to reflect back what you were saying, it makes sense to me.
Okay.
It clicks for me.
I just feel like I was that person, and Kristen speaks to the business owner, you know. And when I was first attracted to Kristen's work, I was the employee I was working at Goldman Sachs, and then I had a different career job, and I specifically worked on that mindset shift with my therapist. But I invested with Kristen, who speaks to business owners and employees, or sorry, she speaks to business owners and entrepreneurs. And I, as an employee, non-business owner, still invested in her stuff. So I think that what you're saying, by speaking to them, like you still could do that. And I think that it does what Deborah's saying, which is bridging that gap of where they could be. You're just kind of speaking to that next level version of them already, and it makes them, it gives you, me, more space to step into that role, and imagine what it could be like when you're speaking to the business owner. Even if they're not technically a business owner, it is that business owner mentality and perspective and mindset. So I think that's totally worth exploring and playing with, and see if that impacts the responses you get from people, because that would be way more direct and like telling people what they should do, kind of.
Okay. So I'm hearing from Kelly and Deborah that it would be advantageous to probably try being more direct and specific in speaking to the audience as entrepreneurs and business owners. And that the people who maybe are employees, they can maybe be inspired, encouraged, given the vision to be able to take those steps to get to that, if that's part of their path.
Yeah, I looked like Pam said something similar, like you'll still bring in employees if they are aligned no matter the niche. And what I wrote down is, can we tie it back to payoff at work for them? Right, so if you're speaking to the business owners, the payoff is like having a more successful business, but really we're looking at like confidence in their work, confidence in navigating decisions as business owners, taking risks, things like that. And your employee clients are going to be doing the same thing, it's just in a corporate structure. So regardless of talking to business owners or not, and keeping it broad, what you're speaking to at the end, the skills, the things they're getting, is still applicable. So you're not abandoning them, you're not doing any of that stuff. And you can even caveat it in, because I've seen this for like people where like they're an entrepreneur and they mainly speak to entrepreneurs. So then people are like, well, can I still take this program? And it's like, yeah, I'm not teaching you to be a business owner. Specifically, these are the skills and things that business owners are typically seeking, but it will also apply to whatever. So that can be like a Q&A piece too, right? Like, so overall, we're tying this back into the specificity, being specific about like what your group mentorship is going to be about. Is you've already been addressing the money objection and you want to go deeper. So it sounds like what you were saying was tying that to lack. How does money and other concerns relate to other concerns about time and support, et cetera? And how does that really tie into a fear of lack and digging into that sort of thing? Because for me, money is always like the surface thing, right? It's like anger. It's the surface emotion. What's the thing under that? And that's like, we need money to survive. We need money to do the things that we want to do. We need money to, et cetera, in society, right? So, and typically when people are like, it's just a designation of resources, right? In some ways we don't have the money because our designation of resources is survival needs, right? And that's fine, and there's not a judgment there. And sometimes it's a designation of pleasure needs, right? Like, I don't know, I really like this fancy plant, so that's what I spent my money on, right? Versus like self-growth or things like that. And so how can we tie it back in? That sounds like all the details of your content. So the overarching theme, and then the details is like how you're tying it in. and bridging the gap between being interested but not willing. What do they need to feel prepared? They need to be able to feel like they have some confidence in their resources. How it sounds like. How is this all connecting for you?
Yeah, I'm processing. I
Giving
can
you a lot.
be a slow processor sometimes. Um, it all makes sense. And so what I'm hearing is you're kind of talking about having like money is the surface thing. And how do you talk to them to go from being interested to being willing? And it seems like some of the bridge could be having confidence in resources. But then I was also thinking confidence in themselves, like they're worth it, like they're worth the value, they're worth the investment, and that they're going to actually show up for it, that they're actually going to do something with it, that it's somehow going to add value to their life.
So what I just heard from you is the actual objection underneath the surface of money is worth and value of themselves. And that sounds like a really cool thing that you could do, like a little temple thing around within the mentorship call and bridge that into the program itself.
Which is what the whole program is about, by the way. Like every program I've been doing is about supporting women to value themselves. But usually that's not as strong enough of a reason for somebody to want to invest in themselves. So then it's all like, okay, well, how do I make them see that valuing themselves is important? So then I've added in the piece of, you know, what I call birthing your heaven on earth, which is basically living a life that they feel really inspired to live. Because usually it's like what's happening in the outside world is something that they can see that there's a problem in. And what the program is there to help them do is to get the things that are going on inside of themselves, looking at that and starting to embrace and heal those aspects so that the external world shifts. But I feel like I can't talk about as much of the internal stuff because it doesn't quite make as much sense, like because that's what I used to focus on talking about, but it didn't seem to like get enough people interested because it wasn't bridging the connection of, and this is why it's so important. So it's like the program is there to help them value themselves, but I'm not talking about that a whole lot. I'm more so talking about what's going to happen when they value themselves. And so, yeah.
That's what I wrote down.
And that's, I mean, I think Kristen talks about this, but I think it's also in marketing. Like, people, well, we're not really good at knowing what we need and what. As humans, it sucks. So people might come in initially be like, you know, like with me, I was like, yeah, I want to just get more money so I can move. I mean, it is part of my heaven on earth to not live in Florida, but like when I'm doing Embody Goddess Daily with Megan, and I was saying this earlier this week that like stepping into it, it became even way more than like even valuing myself. It's about like kind of transforming my spiritual practices, which is also, I mean, I had that in the back of my head, but it wasn't like the front reason. Like we all have like our initial reasons, and like I think for most people it's going to be, I want to make bank. So at least with the content that you've had about like how you shifted out of debt into surplus, like that, I mean, to me that makes sense. But I mean, I don't know how other people are responding. I'm just saying this is part of your audience for feedback, because it is dramatic. I mean, especially in this time, like I'd be like, dude, how did she do that in like less than a year? Like, holy crap. And yes, I mean, I guess one thing that I've focus on, I mean, this is the thing with personal development in general, is that you do have control of yourself. You do have control of how you see your past, your story. That is powerful. I think some people don't see the power in that. Um, that if you're working on yourself, it does eventually ripple out into your external circumstances. You can't just keep working on yourself and that not happen. So I could see maybe why, and I'm not saying this about you in particular. I think this is just a general issue within personal development, spiritual community, like seeing that. Because I mean, you can hear as within, so without. Like I've heard that feel self-blaming. Like, well, I feel like crap, so is that why my life is crap? Like, no, like that's not it. Like it's way more nuanced than that. Like hearing like thoughts become things. All these like simple platitudes. Life is way more complicated than that. It has way more variables. But focusing on what you can control, how you see yourself, how you value yourself, it will impact your relationships. And like just that could impact your finances. Like if you're valuing yourself, you're not going to be taking, for example, low rates from clients. You won't be dealing with people who don't value your time. Like it'll just start like there'll just be this evolution that you don't think you really signed up for, but as you start valuing yourself, you're like, hey, like I'm not going to be getting paid 2 cents per word. Like that's crap. Like I'm worth way more than that. My time is worth way more than that. So I don't know if that helps, but like I know like for me that's always been an issue with the internal external stuff, because I think some people wield that message and it ends up they're trying to be empowering, and then it just feels disempowering, because then it's just like, well, I feel bad like, and or I don't feel empowered, and I don't know how to feel empowered, and like my circumstances are really bad, how can I shift that? And to me that's the opportunity where you can come in and be like, I can help you with that. This isn't about like blaming you or making you feel bad or making you feel like you haven't done enough. You just need support and help, because we need each other. You're not superwoman. You cannot do everything by yourself. You cannot like you were saying, you can't journal your way out of this. Like there's just some things where you just need like like basically like spiritual dynamite to bust shit up and like change things from the root level. So I don't know if that helps, but at least I know that's been a crux for me that I've seen in just different programs that where I feel like, well, I feel pretty capable, but this part is just like it's just not clicking. I'm not sure why, um and then like getting like stuck in a cycle of self-blame because as with this, so with that, I'm like, oh no, like my reality is being reflected by what's inside. This is terrible, and like, and then it's just like, I can't afford this anyway, and then stop. Anyway, I
Mhm.
just hope like crawling into my brain helps with that, because I am a part of your audience, but I feel like that might be some of the things that people are struggling with in terms of like messages they're hearing, not only from like society, but like within the spiritual community that aren't necessarily helpful and actually might have people like um, just basically self what is the word? Disqualify themselves. Yeah, and that's not what you want to do. You want to be like, no, this is for you, because you are feeling like that. This is for you. I see that. And I want to help. So yeah.
Yeah, that's all really helpful. Thank you. Spiritual dynamite, I love that. And because I feel like you might be referring, because with that as within, so without, because I made a post about that today. Um,
Oh, I actually didn't read that.
you
That's
didn't
just
read
something
that?
that
Okay.
no, I saw a bit of your post, but I was like, well, um, I'll read it later. I mean, I liked it, but I'll read it later. But no, it's just something that I've seen a lot when you're talking about like changing your life or external circumstances. Just a message I've seen over and over, and I'm just like, that's heavy for me. And then it feels like there's just so much pressure to like do it yourself, like make yourself better, and it's like, and even going into it's still kind of like, you better have like a positive attitude, or, you're going to just ruin everything. And I'm just like, it's just a journey for spirituality. I'm sorry. I just see negative things. It's just the way I'm wired. So it's not just up to you. Like, that's what you're inviting someone into, this spiritual sisterhood where like your combined powers and energies can to bust all that old shit up. And that's, I mean, that sounds powerful to me, but again, just wanted to give, I guess, like, I don't know, like, ideal audience, like, perspective, because, like, at least for me, I know, like, I'm not the only person who thinks that sort of stuff, who may be like, oh, I would like to do it, but, like, disqualify myself, never mind. Maybe next time I don't feel, but it goes back to the confidence thing. So anyway, that was just basically a narrative on like why someone might not be feeling confident enough to join a program.
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Megan, in getting clarity on your like topic and what you're saying and like how you're presenting it to them, where do you feel like you're at now? You can do scale 1 to 10 if that's easiest.
I feel like maybe like a 6, because I feel like I'm getting clarity, but I feel like there's still just pieces that need to be worked out of actually just like writing it out really clearly, because I just have so many things to think about right now. Because I feel like with the audience specificity thing, that's maybe not something that I want to just completely pivot right now while I'm 2 weeks away from a program starting. That was more so a thought for, maybe that's the direction I need to be taking, is I need to get more specific. So I'm kind of hearing like maybe after Wealthy Goddess, I should start getting a bit more specific with my audience. And I can even do it now, but I don't need to just like take a 180 or something. Don't need to do that. So I'm definitely feeling clear. Like that's been something in my mind that I've been considering. And so I definitely want to run with that, because I think there was an unworthiness piece playing into that of, I'm not 100% solid in my business. So why would I be talking to business owners? But at the same time, I'm not teaching people how to run a business, and I don't want to do that anyways. But in my mind, it was somehow the same thing. So I think I'm starting to tease that apart, that I can be talking to business owners and entrepreneurs without teaching them how to be a business owner, that it's more about the skills development.
Yeah. And you are and have done this specific work, right? And so you can talk to them about this work too. So it's not like you're talking to people and saying, I'm going to get you your first 10K, 20K, 300K month when you haven't maybe done one of those things, right? You're talking about the specific piece that you're already competent in, right? And so it's a little different. And maybe that'll lead to the other things, right? Like for that person, probably, because it all adds up, right? But like this piece is the one that you're speaking to.
Yeah. And I think the thing that also is clear is talking, that it is good to talk about the results and the shifts and the benefits and the way it's impacting their lives. Like with Deborah saying she wanted to come into Embody Goddess Daily to call in more money, to get out of Florida. And like, it makes sense. Like, that's why I came into Spellbinding Sales, because I'm like, okay, I need to make more money in my business. Underneath that, I always knew that I needed all of these like shifts to help me get there. But it's almost like those were never strong enough, because usually my value in myself isn't strong enough to be like, I am valuable enough to step into a year-long program to invest in that specifically. But it's, my mind can comprehend it a little bit more, and having conversations with my husband and talking about investing of, well, this is going to bring in more money. So I can see that in my process and in like what Deborah was saying. And so I feel like that's probably what everyone in my audience is also talking about. So I feel like that's why I've been so focused on the money. And I feel like that's why it's probably good to focus on the money in this mentorship call, is because mostly people are like, well, I need to bring in more money for X, Y, and Z reason.
Yeah, and Pam said that too, speaking to what they need versus what they think they need versus what they actually need. And so what we think we need is more money. And obviously we need the resource, right? Because that's the world we live in. But also the other things underneath that are things that we need in order to get to that piece. So like they need the inspiration, value, and worth in order to get more money, in order to get the job, in order to get the house, in order to get the partner, or whatever the thing that they are seeking, right? So sounds like we're clear. Money topic. Maybe we can start shifting a little bit on the audience themselves. Are there pieces within the structure that you wanted to get more clarity on?
Well, I guess maybe I am pretty clear. Maybe I want feedback on the clarity that I have. So if I'm diagnosing using that word in quotation marks, whatever the money issue is as part of the call and giving them the next step, does that seem like that would be clear enough to them as to why to show up for something? Does it need to be, or like if that's what we're doing in the call? Yeah, maybe my first question is, what I want to do in the call is do the diagnosing what's going on and then giving them a next step. Does that seem like something that would be helpful for people to show up for?
Yeah, I agree. I saw Kelly nodding a little bit too.
Yes.
Deborah just said yes.
I was going to type out, I think that's clear, especially if you can explicitly dictate how you're getting to the root of the money issue. Is it chatting through it? Is it intuitively? Is there some magic you do, but that might be the little twist that makes people a little more excited about getting to the root of the issue with you specifically and working with you.
Okay. And then my other question with that is, if I'm giving them a next step, and I think earlier Pam might have said Wealthy Goddess is that next step, which is like, for sure, Wealthy Goddess is the next step that's going to lead to a huge transformation. But if I'm giving them just like one little thing that they can focus on, how can I really be like, I'm giving you a personal next step, but then can I also give them a Wealthy Goddess next step? Maybe just at the end of the call or something. So maybe my question is more like logistically how to weave those two things together.
Yeah. So let's see here. Do you have a specific next step that you want to give them that's small?
Yes, I think that would be like in the individual, like when I was providing them mentorship and in the intuitive coaching, that
It'll depend on the person.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to leave them hanging. Like they get this clarity and they're like, oh, I have this self-worth thing.
Oh, it's okay.
Leave them hanging there. So I feel like I would just be like, this is one thing you can focus on right now to support yourself right now. That would be kind of the individual next step for each person.
Individual person. Okay, not like a group.
Could you link it to one of the goddesses that is in the program? Like, kind of give like a little bit of a teaser, like, hey, you could work with X and do this one little thing with her. And then if you'd love to, and then that actually, they might be able to experience that energy working with that goddess. And then they might be like, oh, there could be more. I mean, that's just an idea, but at least that also is not only just experiencing you, but also experiencing like maybe a taste of like what it would be to go on that journey with the 7 goddesses that you're working with.
Yeah, no, I love that, because I feel like most any issue that came up, one of those goddesses would be able to, they could work with one of those goddesses. So that's a really good suggestion. Thank you.
And I really liked what Kelly and Pam were saying about the sandwich, like mentioned at the beginning, like this is stuff that we're diving into in Wealthy Goddess, like let's tease it out for inside this mentorship, or like kind of like prep that like this is stuff that we go deeper in, and then they know like everything's going to be kind of contained within that framework, and then go and give them their step, whatever it is for that person, tie it into, like Deborah was saying, to a goddess, or like something that directly they can see the tie that's more obvious. And then again, you're reminding them at the end that this is only part of the whole. This is a step, and it'll feel better, it'll help, but it is a step in the process. And if you want to get to the end, quote unquote, because there's never really an end, it's just a new continuation. But if you want to get to next X point, right, the whole program is going to take you through that process to getting there.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's really helpful. Just like sometimes the framing, knowing how to frame things is so helpful. Thank you. It helps me to feel a bit more prepared. And then, so if I were to just, because I know Christine's always asking me, like, what's the one transformation you want them to get out of this? So would that be like calling, the one thing that I want to support them is calling in more money. That's like not what I think they need, but in terms of marketing it, would that be a good thing to focus on in the marketing of like, this mentorship call is going to support you to find your next best step in calling in more money?
Hell yes.
Okay.
Pam's got
Yes.
thoughts too. Pam, do you want to say them instead of type them?
Just coming back to like how they're not going to feel like this is just another thing that they have to do. Like how by coming to this call, is it going to fill their cup, not just give them another task, right? So I don't know if you can have even just like a group, I don't know, I just like a group ritual or a group meditation or something like that, just to really nourish them first or at the end. I don't know, however you want to frame it, right? Just as another, just as an add-on, I guess, to attending the call.
Yeah, I love that, Pam, especially because a lot of objections is I don't have enough time. So that right there is, this is going to fill you up.
Yeah.
Something, because I love that, because I feel like for me, sometimes when I think about stepping into a program, I think, gosh, I don't have enough time to do all of those things. But then I forget of how much I'm going to receive from that and how much more time and energy that's going to be giving me because I'm not stressed about it anymore. So that's a really good point to like just speak right to that to help them show up for it. Yay, this is so helpful. I feel like I'm getting lots. I just want to read through because I see that there have been a lot of really good comments coming in. But I think we've talked to most of them.
Tried to point them out, but I mean, it's always good to go back through and get like what you get from them rather than just what I got from them and pointing them out.
Yeah. Can you show them the way? Oh, this one I haven't looked at. Kelly said, can you show them the ways in which they aren't valuing themselves? Like maybe talk about that in the marketing.
Yeah. Sorry, my music is still going. Yeah, I feel like people, before they like know what their problems are, they're just living their little routines and automatic, and they need something to like shock them or give them that awareness of like, here's the thing that you're doing, and here's why that's a reflection of you not valuing yourself the way that you could be. And I think that might help paint that picture of where they are and how it's different from where they could be, because sometimes we have our blinders. Sorry, I shouldn't use that. It's hard to see the big picture. It's hard to have the full perspective when you're in that automatic day-to-day routine.
Yeah, I can for sure do that. That's a really good suggestion, like in just different posts, marketing posts. Yeah, definitely. I think everything else we've talked about all the other comments. Yeah, thank you so much. All of these comments have been really helpful. Yeah, cool.
Unmuted. So if we go back to that scale from 1 to 10, where do you feel like you're at now?
I feel like I'm at a 9 because now I just need to figure out what to call it and
Yay!
actually just, I wanted it to just be really simple because sometimes I create these big sales pages and then it takes so much energy to do that sometimes I procrastinate it, but this is happening like pretty soon. So I think I'm just going to create a simple event and they can sign up there, can get their email that way, and it'll just be super simple.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
You are already doing the big stuff with the program. This doesn't have to be a big thing. And when you launch the program again, you can go back because the big stuff is done here and sort of flesh out the other things that you want to do a little bit more. So it doesn't have to be like, that can be a goal if that's what you want to do eventually, but like keeping it simple, I think is a great idea. And Pam's nodding. I think we're all fans of keeping it simple.
Yeah, I think so because the other day I was like, man, maybe I should just not do it. I don't have energy. And I was like, no, I need to do it. I just don't need to do all of the things to do it. I can just make it really simple so that I still do it and I get to connect with the women, but I don't have to do all of the technical things. Those are the things I don't want to do. I just want to do it and then have the people come without even having to market it or anything.
I think there's probably ways to do that in which you're nourishing them ahead of time and then they're already like, I just want to sign up with Megan like for this thing. So then you don't really have to market it. But I think that takes different kinds of lead up and energy and whatnot. So
yeah.
Something to think about next time. And like, also, I want you to get this is just a personal thing of mine that I think everybody should do, but make sure you get testimonials from your programs. And what you can do is you can create a little survey at the end or however you want to do it, but make sure you're getting like testimonials of like how they grew, what happened, so that you can leverage that for next time.
Mm-hmm.
So just my little PSA. The programs that haven't happened yet, you can use other testimonials that you have. So like working with Kelly was super amazing. And you can use that as a testimonial. Like it doesn't have to be for that program, but I think like as you build it, you'll get more specific ones for a specific program, but it is also a testament to you and your energy and your process as a whole. So.
Yeah, and let me offer to, I actually had that in mind and then I lost it about testimonials, so thank you, Shelby, for holding that back. But yeah, Megan, if you want a testimonial about how it is to work with you, I'd be happy to give you one.
I would love that.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing.
I'll get that to you by the end of the day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yay. So not that you have to worry about using that or doing anything with that right now, but I want you guys to have tools for later too. So.
Yeah, good. Well, I feel like I'm feeling clear. At least I have enough that I can just start doing my thing, that I need to just actually type it all out and invite people to this thing.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. So, and then let us know, like obviously post it into the group or let us know what you decide on for the title and all the things. Like I think that would be really exciting. So.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited because I do this type of work one-on-one with people, but I've never done it in a group setting and so that part has felt a little bit vulnerable to me. So I'm excited to expand my capacity to be vulnerable.
Yay! It's gonna be good. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I feel like we're all
everyone.
just like look over the fence and be like, what are you doing? How is it going?
Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. Everyone has provided some really valuable insight. So I thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan, for sharing. And this, I think, has helped all of us too. So thank you for sharing it and being the like hot seat person, quote unquote, but we're all receiving through you too. So thank you. All right. So that means Pam, it's your turn. Are you ready?
No.
Do you want? Okay. Do you want to go?
I'll see what comes up to share. So,
Okay. At least share your wins and shifts.
Yeah. So wins. I don't know if you can see this color of this sweater. It's this beautiful purple. I saw it and then I couldn't find it. And then I just went in the right spot online and I found it again and I ordered it and it's the right size and it's so comfy and I'm like, I have my winter sweater.
So happy.
Yay. I guess I'm along those lines. I actually spent money on myself this last month on new clothes and stuff, which I haven't done. Oh, it's probably been a couple of years actually. So it felt really good to do that for myself because I'm worth it. Yeah. What else? Wins would be, yeah, starting the homeschooling, not having all the school stress of not knowing what's going on and all that. And school has been just a huge stressor since kindergarten. That's been nice. I think that's all I can think of right now. Shift wise, it feels like I'm in a completely different place than I was when this time last month during the call. Because I think my win from that call was like having the client or a potential client for the exact amount and all that. And there has been zero energy to follow through on anything with that. And in that, I've also, some of my clients, that has shifted with not working with all of them anymore. And so that's opened up this space for what do I want to do next, right? So I've started a certification program on the human design HS environment perspective and motivation. So I decided that I'm going to be learning this, so why not share it as I learn it? So I've been kind of promoting that a bit. I've been it's just really, I've never done anything like this before, but I realized that me learning something and then getting it down pat and then going back to it, I don't have the energy to go back to things. So that's why like my empath courses and stuff like that haven't been made, because there hasn't been energy to do that. So experimenting and trying it differently and sharing as I'm going through the program. And while I'm doing that, building resources that for future assets, right? That could be something evergreen. It might be easier to come back to when I don't have to put when I'm building it while I'm in the energy. So we'll see with that. Yeah. And for the posts, the social media posts that I've been doing, when I'm feeling inspired and in the energy, I've been creating the graphics for it, but I'm not necessarily writing the posts until later. So I found that go back to the graphic, it gives me something to respond to. And then it can be within whatever the energy is that day or whatever. So I'm a post or two ahead usually. So I've been, more consistent that way on the for everybody looking in, completely inconsistent on the back end, which works really well for me. So
It kind of sounds like the creating the thing as you're going through it so that you have something when you come back to respond to again. Sounds like the
yeah,
same thing.
that's true too. Yeah. Because I'll be able to go, I could see myself being able to go deeper later. And obviously, as I do readings for people and I get more experience of their experiences, that'll just add to that material, right? So, yeah. So, I think just support wise, with the clientships, I now, like, my biggest source of income is gone again. So I'm trying to, oh no, I shouldn't say I'm trying to. At the moment, I am in like the energy of everything's going to be okay. And, but there's the other part of me, or the past part of me, that's like, wants to freak out, right? And it's like, no, I don't need to freak out. It's all going to be okay. This is like, I'm going to manifest what I need to support the household and stuff like that in one way, shape, or form. And just allowing space for it to come in the way that it wants to, versus the way I'm trying to structure it. And so yeah, just am I crazy? I'm feeling crazy.
Oh, you're in the process. So
Yeah.
this is for all of us too. As we are shifting from one way of being to another, there is a point where we are like in both. Right? Because if we think about it, we can think of like an energy standpoint, like we're shifting out of the energy, moving into the new energy. And so we're in that space in between where we're moving from one to the other. So we're in both. In our brains, the neuron pathways, it's not like one just disappears and the other one's present. We have both neuron pathways. And so we're retraining the brain to the faster one's like, ooh, and then we're like, wait, no, I just caught myself. Try the other one. And so you're in this phase change, as Kelly just said, where you're in both. And so for all of us to recognize that that is progress when we're in that. It feels sticky and frustrating because we can see now more clearly the contrast between the two, but we are in the process and we're getting there, and that is progress. So I want to reaffirm that to you first, that if you are making progress, you are making change. Like, the fact that you're feeling this way is evidence of that.
Okay. I like that. Okay. Yeah, because I haven't, like, there's a lot of stuff that I've just like surface stayed on or whatever, but I know this is going to take the next level, and I can't avoid going deeper and deal with whatever comes of that, right? And I've never, the level of surrender that is required right now is, I've never been here before. So
I might challenge you to reframe that.
sure.
That you've never been here before. That might be true in this particular situation, but you've probably been in other situations where you did have to surrender, and
Wow.
it felt like a lot, and you got through it and it worked out.
Yeah, no, that's true. It just hasn't been, I haven't been welcoming of it in this way. In the past, it would have been, fighting it tooth and nail until there was no choice. But this is a conscious change. So, okay.
So as you're going through this, how can we support you? Or how do you want support?
Yeah. Just speaking about it just feels better. I don't know.
You don't have to share any more specifics, but you want to share more about how you're feeling and whatnot, and then we can tell you how amazing you are.
Well, I'm nervous
Mm-hmm.
and scared, but my motivation is fear. So I've been playing with that and trying to use fear in a different way. Seeing it as fuel versus something to run from, right? So yeah, feeling those things, but feeling so free and so supported in some way. Like there's part of me that feels so supported. So it's just confusing in if I start getting too intellectual about it, I guess. So trying not to, yeah. If I get in my head too much, just Pam.
That's okay. Sometimes intellectualizing is helpful and sometimes not. So good. So you're just feeling that contrast right now.
Yeah.
Of things, and that it's a difficult place to be in, but you're getting through it. Is there anything that
yeah. Next call might be, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so unknown, and yeah, just not freaking out about it.
Does anybody have some reflections and appreciation for Pam that you wanted to reflect back? Kelly?
Hello. If I were to assign Pam homework, would I would do it? Shelby's Reiki, you have the ones that are like grounding and clearing, and then you could also do the clearing and protecting soul of your business meditations, and then I would do some feng shui cleaning, which is like floor washes, cleaning up your desk, cleaning up your mouth of chi, which is the front door, and then making sure you're doing those things with some good energy. Thank you, I love you. Sorry for any thoughts I had when I was, in a darker spot, and just like appreciating and putting gratitude into some of those areas. You could also do that to your wealth corner, which if you enter your front door and your front door is north, you would want to go to the southeast. So it's going to be 180 degrees opposite, and then to the left from your front door. So that's your wealth corner. You could clean that out. And then you could do some specific manifesting, right? Or are you a general? Yeah, you're specific.
I'm specific, yeah. I started a Trello board and I'm like collecting pictures of all the things. And
you probably don't have Anna's abundance stuff because you're in Canada, huh?
Right.
So find some abundance crystals, some pyrite, citrine, wherever you feel wealth in your body, find the crystal representative of that area, and then you can write yourself, I receive, or like, I have $5,000 in savings, and put it in your wealth corner or wherever feels good to you, and do some specific manifesting.
Okay.
Lots of work.
Yeah, the cleaning. My floors do need to be done though, so
take it or leave it, but that would be, if I were to assign Pam homework, that's what I would do.
And that because I know a lot of, like, in the heaviness this week and that it's like there's clearing happening, but how can I
tap into the momentum of the clearing and leverage that energy, get stuff out while that energy is happening, and then you'll have clear space and you can replace what's clear with what you want to come in, which is what my whole program is about.
So cool. Okay, thank you.
Who else has reflections and appreciations for Pam?
You or Deborah going? We were both just jumping at the opportunity to give you some. Yeah, reflections. I want you to know that a while ago I watched one of your videos about the empath. You were talking about the empath a little bit ago. And that actually supported me so much. Just like, I think it was maybe even like a 15-30 minute video
Yeah.
of being, I don't remember exactly what the content was about, but I do remember being like, oh, I am a little bit more impacted by being an empath than I recognize. And then having that support from a human design perspective was really helpful. And I know that like thinking about, because I think you talked about just like boundaries and ways of like really protecting yourself kind of like before and after interactions. And you just talked about different like hygiene practices.
Yeah.
And I remember that being so helpful because I'm just kind of like walking around with, I have like, there's 9 gates in human design, right? I have like 6 open centers.
Yeah.
And I have all of the ones for the empath that you had mentioned open. And I generally don't always protect myself. And I'm just like walking around like Velcro to people's energy. Then I'm like, why am I so emotional? Like, oh yeah, because I just like emotionally Velcroed everybody's energy. So it was really helpful in just being like, oh, okay, like I know that I'm an empath and I know that I have this, but then to put the language of the gates that are really connected to it felt like it really empowered me further to be more discerning of my energy and to also be more conscientious of protecting myself. And so that was really helpful. That was really valuable for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I already know like in the material that I'll be creating, like there'll be specifics to like projectors need certain things, generators need certain things, that kind of thing. But that's a different layer of being an empath that I hadn't thought of bringing that into this as well. So, which is funny, but thank you.
Reflection and some more homework.
Okay.
Deborah.
My turn. That was just funny. It was like, no me. No, I'm just still thinking about when you read for me my human design chart, Pam, and it was just so liberating. I just love your serenity. Well, from one Capricorn to another, like that grounded, like I'm not gonna stress the fuck out about anything. Energy is great, which I know on the inside you're like, fuck. I just I hope that in some way that you can tap into that energy for yourself, but that also someone in your life can be that for you too. Like we do need, even though we're all like, yes, I will conquer and plan and execute, and I hope that you have someone who can be that grounding foundation for you. I hope that like us in spellbinding sales can do that. For myself, in terms of if you ever need support with that, because I'm in this transitional space with dropping the P to client, which brought up all this other crap, which I was like not expecting. And I'm sure in the back of my head, I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of a loss of income, even though I really was glad to give it up. There's still like, I mean, we like stability, we like security, and we like providing that for each other. So I just, it feels weird to be like, I wish everything goes well for you. That feels really like not enough. Like you're a Capricorn, you need more than that. But so that's why I offer, at least if you need to vent or like just be like, oh shit, like I can calmly be like, you're gonna be okay. Like you've made it this far, you have us, and we will support you in this transition as you bring in awesome clients that will also help you ground as well. I can see that for you.
Thank you. Yeah, that piece about making sure that I'm doing that grounding for myself, and then making sure that, yeah, I have person or people that are like that for me. Like, that's, I thank you for that perspective, because it's so easy to get caught up in all the things to forget about about that. So thank you.
Yeah, you already did that with buying clothes for yourself. So like,
Yeah.
what are other ways that you can make yourself happy? And they might not involve money right now, but like that, I know like that thing. I mean, part of that is our frugality. Like I will go through waves of like buying clothes because I'm just like, I'm gonna make this last until it's threadbare. And I see every piece of clothing as an investment, whether I got it from Old Navy or wherever. But are there other ways that you can nourish yourself, take care of yourself that are pleasurable? It's Venus Day, so it's not even just like the self-care that's like, all right, I'll pay my taxes on time or whatever, but like what brings you pleasure? What brings you like just joy that just like a schoolgirl giddy smile on your face? I think
Do I
that
even
sort of
own one of those?
you could borrow one for someone and then make your own. I know, right? Usually for me, it surprises me what ends up being like the schoolgirl goodie stuff.
Yeah.
It's usually boys, but that's a whole other stuff. But if there are no boys available,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like even just like I don't know, just being I just feel like we get so serious about stuff, and then like we're so rigid. Like the receiving part gets really like kind of lost because we're just like you have to maintain these boundaries and be the foundation, and we're supporting all these other people. But like I don't know, like just I don't know. Venus is in Leo. It's just I'm just like it's all about you and what you want to do and having fun with that. And I just feel like that energy is just will bring in some really cool things that you need. And I'm basically talking to myself because like yeah, hyper serious about shit. I'm just like I can't let go of this
Yeah.
paradigm or thought that I have that
Capricorn issues or cruxes or whatever.
right. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just riffing. I don't know where
Yeah.
it's
No,
coming from,
thank
but
you.
yeah.
I think, yeah. And if anybody else has a reminder that Deborah just gave me, please take it, because we can all use it.
Hey, you're laughing, so mission
Yeah.
accomplished.
No, thank you. Yeah, I need to hear that.
We're just gonna let you soak it in for a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Leo brings in the playfulness. I don't think I can't remember. I'm not big or I don't know my astrology that well. Pretty sure I have Leo in like one thing, and that's, I should look at that. A Cancer moon.
Oh, you're a full moon baby like me. Okay. Yes, but I know what Kelly's gonna say, but I'm gonna let her say.
Okay. Yeah, so you should feed your moon. Do you know what house it is in?
I can look that up.
For Cancer, if you feed your moon, you want to do empathy, intuition, rhythm, nostalgia, home and domestic stuff, flow.
House 7 and Saturn. right there with it.
So that's relationships. So anything that you can do each morning around like the discipline of your home and domesticities and your intuition, tapping into your natural rhythms, but some kind of thing around that. So maybe you need a morning routine, or maybe you need a family dance session. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
there's so many ways that you could combo those.
Yeah.
Things. So find something that feels good to you and then do that every day before you do your work or other stuff.
It's just kind of the rhythm that I've been falling into. It's like I have my coffee, and like Taylor doesn't get up until she'll be getting up a little bit earlier with school starting, especially starting next week, but it'll still be like probably like 10 or 11 o'clock, not 7 o'clock, right? So yeah, I have my coffee.
You could do like
in the dark. Well, it'll be dark here.
Listen to some ocean sounds or Enya,
Oh, there's some, I haven't brought any music in. I've been trying to do meditation at that same time. And it's just, it's like my mornings. I don't really I get up early, like between 5 and like 7:30, but then I don't actually get moving until like 9 or 10 o'clock.
Me too. I love slow mornings, but that's when I pull oracle cards. So doing intuition stuff, like what messages do your guides have, your ancestors. That could be a family-oriented intuition, because 7th house is relationships. So.
Okay.
So how are you feeling now, Pam?
Less crazy and more supported. Thank you all. I was already feeling like supported on like the universal end, but now it's like the relationship part. I probably need to, make a point of nurturing that more, especially with social or physical distancing. I don't like social distancing. We're allowed to socialize. Okay.
Oh, I just want to say sorry for making an assumption about like in terms of like who you'd prefer to be with romantically. Like, I said boys for me, but like it could be people for you. But I just wanted to make that clear. I didn't want to like keep that gender
Heteronormative, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, no.
Definitely.
Appreciate that. It was okay, but yeah, I think that's great. I think these conversations need to be had too, right? So
yes.
So thank you.
Yeah.
And Megan said nice reframe on the distancing. Can we provide you with anything else?
I don't think so. Because I can't, like, I'm, like, as far as, like, structure and strategy, and like, I'm really not, I'm just doing what feels good. I'm not overthinking it or overstructuring it or any of the things that have kind of killed the flow in the past, and experimenting with this. We'll see.
Keep us updated. And if you ever need a boost in the group, just come on in.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know that, but
yeah, it's hard because you work in the group and you also play in the
weird.
group. Yeah. So yeah.
We're good.
Giving you that reminder.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, everyone.
Did Kelly or Deborah, was there anything you guys wanted? We have a little bit of time, so I'm going to give you an opportunity if there's something you wanted to share or not before we end the call.
I'll just share what this week's been like. I'm not necessarily receiving guys on that, but like I shared in the group that I did share in the group about my presentation, which is so weird. Like, not like I would have gone and flown to Kentucky for this because this is why Zoom is awesome. But it was still kind of like, wow, like my ex's boss's team was in, I think they're all isolated, which makes sense. So it's just weird. But yeah, it was weird. Like, I think at the time I wrote in the group, like, seeing that ex-supervisor who was a racist bitch was weird. And I was Capricorn about it. I'm like, decorum, sure. I'm not going to speak to you because I hate your guts. Let's move on. Not going to have to keep professionalism, but like it did bring up just later, because usually for me, I'm like, I'm great. And then I'll go home or whatever. And then I'll be like, oh, that was kind of heavy, but good job of putting a good face forward for when you needed it. And I'm not like, I don't think I needed to like do any like cord cutting or anything. I think I've already done that stuff, but it was just more like reflecting back on what I endured with her was a lot of shit, and but also her boss, the person who brought me in, like he really changed my career, and I was so grateful. So I wrote him a thank you note, and it's in the mail today, because I just feel like it's just weird that someone who was so helpful and then someone who was so not helpful were in the same instance. And so I don't know, it's kind of like, I feel like with my own history, I'm always like rewriting it and revising it in a way that's like healthy, not in a let me like cover up like just the bad stuff. But I guess it kind of threw me off guard. And then the following day, like learning that, oh yeah, like you good job with your boundaries, but like, well, actually, like you weren't really turning down any money because there wasn't going to be any. And then seeing how I was treated, I don't know. This week has been a lot about mistreatment, especially with work. And I'm just like, yeah, I hate Libra season right now. Libra is my 10th house. I'm just like, injustice. This is really, I want this to be gone. So, I mean, I got at least that I've been making right decisions, but like, I don't know, that really like also again threw me off guard as like a 1-2 punch this week. So just working through like just grieving a whole bunch of stuff, which I usually Libra season is pretty chill and like, oh, it's like it's PSLs and like temperatures going down and whatever and cozy and high and all that. Like, definitely feels way more like reckoning, and I'm sure that's Mars and Saturn and Pluto and all that stuff going on. But yeah, like it's just been a heavy week personally that I honestly was funny because I was just like, this is going to be a victorious week. Like, I felt so great about that presentation. And then 30 minutes before, it's like, oh shit, I forgot that she's still on this guy's team. But no, I didn't forget. I just thought I was only going to be talking to a few people, not like 12. And then Tuesday being like, I'm done with this client. And then it made it more like, oh my God, I need this drink just to get through the night because I'm so angry and hurt. So it was just weird, like me feeling like for once this week, I'd be like, yes. And then it was just like, well, actually, there's some fine print that you don't know about. So I don't know. It's just brought up a lot of, just like a lot in my history of like mistreatment and how I haven't really had time to grieve it because it's just been a treadmill of like dealing with people's shit. And it's just ironic that Libra season is very much like other oriented, how can you help or whatever. But again, it is about justice and the scales and making sure those scales are balanced. So I think this Libra season for me is trying to balance those scales in my life, in my relationships, at work. And I feel like this is a good like transition for me of like, how do I want to be treated for real? And now that I have more personal power, that's realized how can I tap into it. It's not that I feel victimized or poor me. I'm pissed, which is Mars retrograde. It's like I'm just pissed, and I have a right to be pissed, and just allowing myself to be pissed. But Um, I put this in a video for Anna and her like rose quartz revolution, but one thing that I probably will do eventually is go to a rage room and just break shit. Because women aren't allowed to do that. Like at least society is like, oh, just keep everything in, which is what I basically talked about in the video. Like it'd be weird to do it by myself. I feel like I might look maniacal, but like that's the whole point. Like just breaking shit with bats and like just letting it out of my body. I don't know if I don't feel rageful today, but I feel like as Mars continues to travel retrograde, I might look into it and just to have a safe place to deposit my anger and rage that is justified. It's not like I've just sucked up a lot just to survive, and now like I feel like all this stuff is coming up because I feel safe to express it, and so it's a good thing, but it's also kind of like, ooh, this is heavy. I didn't know I was carrying all this crap. So yeah, so that's me right now, and I'm just grateful that oh yeah, I didn't share this, that I had written the ex-boss yesterday just to be like, thank you so much for letting me talk to your group and hope we can work together. It was great to see you after all this time. And he was like, yeah, like great to see you too. And he's like, I'm quite certain that we'll have some work for you. I just have to bring this comms lady up. Yay. And she'll start in like a month. So I was just like, yeah, I'll just check in with you Halloweenish time. And so I'm really grateful that I had to push through, because I was talking to Shelby about this and I was like, I don't feel like I want to talk to anyone from my past. Which then I was like, oh wait, like there are some people, and he was one of them that I had actually started this like almost a year ago. We had talked on the phone, and then it just kind of went nowhere because he was starting this whole department at a new university, and he just got busy. And then COVID happened, and then I was like, okay, I'm in another mentorship program with a colleague, and so she was like, yeah, you need to like check back with people. I was like, okay. So he was one of them, and then it just seems like the perfect timing, even with the presentation. That was like a monthly meeting, and I just talked to him like a couple days before. And so like he's like one of those people, like if he wants it, it just happens. Like he just makes things move rather quickly. So yeah, but I'm still kind of exhausted. I think Mars retrograde is just like kicking my butt. It's in my 4th house of home, so oh yeah, like one other thing, like another sale, like so like there was like a pending sale in this house. This is the second time, and it fell through. I'm laughing maniacally, like as an evil person, because I'm like, ah, you deserve it. Uh, so I part of me is just like, I don't think that's gonna happen like until Mars goes direct. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm just like, wow, it's the second time, but you're not really putting in any effort to make this place look really spectacular enough to move, so to sell. So I don't know. There's just a lot, career, home going on, but I think it's all good. And oh, sorry, and Kelly's gone. Okay.
Yeah, she kind of like, there's like a weird lag, I think, between when we send the thing and then when we like cut off. And so like sometimes it makes it seem like the person like posts and then they're gone. But it's like, no, that's not quite what happened. So I'll reach out to her and let her know that we missed her. But if there's anything else you wanted to add, Deborah.
No, just thankful for all of you, because you've all individually helped me on my journey this year. So thank you for all that help and support.
Of course. And thank you for sharing. Sounds like there's been a lot going on, and we're here to support you. And we're also here just to listen. So Hey, everybody. Is everybody feeling complete now? Okay, so nodding. Okay. Good. So Pam and I will get back to you guys on the dates for next month. I just like my heart.
I can't believe like September is almost over. I don't know. Like we're in this such weird time. I'm like, what is a calendar? What does it mean?
Yeah,
Wow. October. All right. Yeah.
yeah, my heart is it's like, yeah. It'll be good. So we'll have insights from Pam when she feels inspired to share about the human design, and Deborah gave her stuff, and so and then Megan will be sharing all the stuff that she's been working on with us, and yeah, it'll be so good. So okay, trying to think if there's any other housekeeping stuff. We'll get you the dates. Does anybody have any housekeeping questions or anything? No.
I'm just curious about Kristen's return. I mean, I know, like I think you and I have talked about it, but like, in terms of like how she's doing, and also just I don't know when I mean, is it like incremental return, or like when do we have an expected date of return?
I don't think there's an expected date. It's mostly been how she's healing after the birth. As always, the birth, like, it takes a hard toll on your body and all those things, and so it's part of like her recovery when she's able to actually hold support. She's getting a little bit more sleep than she was, at least like at one time. Like she's getting more sleep like together, right? Versus like sporadically throughout the day. So she's getting there. I expect that when we know, you guys will know, like she'll tell everybody. But it's always open for her to pop in. Like you've seen, she's been a little bit more active with replying to comments on things, and so it's that incremental thing that she's coming, like, all right, she's got some more energy since getting some more sleep. She can kind of respond to things. And then when she gets like all of the okays from like the doctors and like her body and everything, then she'll come back to calls. But calls are just like, you have to sit and you have to, like, you know, be present for a period of time, and that's a little bit more difficult with the baby and not getting sleep and things like that. So yeah, so we'll be seeing more of her as time goes on. But yeah, I don't want to speak for her and say when she's going to be ready or not, because that's her body and whatnot telling her when, and the baby to some extent, and I cannot predict that. So but I expect, like, as we've seen, like, you'll see more and more of her, and we'll be able to get more support from her soon. And I know she's made some adjustments with like people who had boxer support, and like you'll get whatever, just keep track of your missed weeks, and like it'll kind of like shift, that sort of thing. So I'm sure there will be some of that as well, as she's more coherent and with everything. Because it sounds like she's getting like micro sleeps right now, and so if anybody's not familiar with that, like you're awake and then you're out for like a small period of time and then you're back, and it's like you're missing pieces, and so it's just not as helpful for being on calls and things like that. But yeah, we'll see more of her. So that was a good question that I don't have a great answer to, but that's what I have.
Works for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did anybody else have any other questions regarding logistics or housekeeping stuff? I know Megan had clarified this last time. I have pretty much given you guys like all access to me, whether or not that was supposed to be included or not. Like, if you have questions, reach out, tag me in the group, like all of those things. I will still be only facilitating people's homework that I have that for, but if you have questions in the group, if you have questions on the side that you don't feel comfortable sharing in the group or things like that, you can always reach out to me that way so that you are getting support. We don't want you to feel unsupported, and we want to make sure that like you're getting as seamless as the transition as possible, and you're still getting the words escape me, but I'm using bang for your buck today. Apparently that's the thing. Getting the most bang for your buck, like out of your energy and the materials and stuff as possible, regardless of who's providing it to you. So what is that? Not results, not support, not leverage, but there's a thing that I want in there that I don't have at the moment.
ROI, return on investment.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know what I want. Maybe. Maybe that's the problem. So yeah, so all of that. So whether that's for everybody here or who's watching this recording for whatever reason, like, and maybe I should make a post. I'll make a post, just like, please tag me, please send me messages, whatever you need, you have questions about, that sort of thing. So, yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Kelly, who's no longer here. Thank you, Moon. I feel like we're doing like the good night moon book, but like with thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so update us on all the things. There was a group homework that I feel like I gave everybody at the beginning, but I don't remember what it was anymore. But take care of yourselves as things are feeling heavy. Sounds like you guys are working through the flow of things and going with the flow and experimenting. So keep up with that. Get your testimonials for things. Yes, thank you, Megan. Get your testimonials for things. And it sounds like you guys have got this, you know, and it's just working through the little details and things. And we can use my mantra affirmation that it all works out. Everything is always working out in my favor, or like for me, or however you want to frame it, that feels good. And yeah. So, all right. Bye,
Thanks so
everybody.
much. Bye, everyone.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you all soon.
Bye. Thank you.